Hi, I'm Shane with etrailer.Com. Today I'm going to walk through how I installed the Dexter E-Z Flex triple axle equalizers on our 2006 Jayco fifth wheel trailer. Adding new equalizers like this to your kit or upgrading them from your factory ones is going to make your ride a lot more comfortable. You'll notice in the center it's going to have a rubber boot. That's going to take up a lot of the absorption that your factory ones don't have. The difference between our factory ones and our new ones is you'll notice they're two different pieces. Our factory one is one solid piece of steel. So what happens is when one wheel hits a bump, the next one's going over a different one. That whole thing is feeling, or you're feeling that all of that bump or movement with both axles. With the way this is set up, each axle is going to be able to move a little more independently. One thing I really like about this kit is it's going to come with grease certs on the end of our bolts. It's going to make it very easy to keep our bolts on the inside where they're getting that friction greased up so they last a very long time. These are going to have a very durable steel construction with a nice coating on them to resist any rust or corrosion. You'll also notice that our shackles here, our factory ones are very small. You'll notice how thick these are. These are going to make these very, very durable, last a long time. This kit is not only going to come with new hardware for your equalizers, attaching them to your springs, but it's also going to come with new hardware for the opposite ends where they attach to the brackets on the frame rails. One thing I will recommend is while you have your wheels off and you're installing your equalizers, go ahead and replace your shocks if you need it. Very easy to do. It's going to make it a lot easier, again, while you have your wheels off already. These do not come with the kit, however, they can be found here at etrailer.com. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's go ahead and walk you through how we installed it. First thing you need to do to start your installation is you need to get your trailer set up and safe so that when you start removing your suspension bolts, your axles are supported. You can see I have actually 3 jack stands on my axles that once I start loosening these, I will lower it down onto my jacks and it will support my axles so that I can easily put my bolts in and all my other components. Now for a triple axle trailer, there's going to be a specific front bracket and rear bracket. This is going to be our front bracket. You'll notice the difference between the two. This is our factory one. This is our new one. You can see how much beefier this one is. It's really going to help the ride quality. These are going to be your 3 attachment points for your bolts. You can see this one also has 3. It's going to attach the exact same way, only we're going to be putting new hardware in place. You notice the difference where our bolts connect. Our factory just has a plate on the front and the back with 2 bolts. This is actually a shackle. These bolts are seated inside of this plate. This is going to take the place, it's going to go straight through. We're going to have another plate like this. It's going to go on the back side, and then we'll have 2 nuts that hold it on. We'll have one for here. For the rear of our front bracket, this bolt here, this is actually the bolt that's going to be replacing it. Now, one important tip is where your spring curl is, on each end of your spring, when you take this bolt off, there's going to be a bushing inside. That bushing is going to have to come out, and it's actually going to get a new one. It's going to look like this. So this is going to have to be inserted inside that spring roll before you put your new hardware in. It's going to go in each one of the ends of the springs. The difference between our front and our rear is our rear one's going to look like this, and it's actually going to get 2 shackles. It's going to get one here, and it's going to get one here. Take the nut off the back. We're using an 18mm socket with a 21mm wrench on the front. Again, we're going to have a plate on the back, and then we'll have another one here on the front. So now that we have those loose, go ahead and loosen the center one. Now to get your sleeves in place, if you have a metal sleeve in there, what you can do is take your old bolt, slide it over your new sleeve, slide it in, and use that new sleeve to push the other one out. Ours are actually plastic, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver, I'm just kind of wedge it in there and kind of break it apart and slide them out. Now to get our new one in place, again, we'll use the old bolt, hammer them right into place. Now we're going to repeat that same process for all the bushings in the end of our springs that we'll be replacing. Next, we're going to put in our shackles into our equalizer. You want to make sure that on the sleeve here, on the shackle, you make sure you grease that down a little bit. It's going to help slide, it'll help make it slide in a little bit easier. So again, just like this, slide it in. Plate on the back. We'll follow it up with a nut on each one of our bolts. We're not going to tighten these at this time. We're just going to leave them loose. We just want to make sure it's going to stay in place. Now we're going to repeat that same process for our front one. Now you'll notice that the end of this bolt that we're inserting is going to have a Zerk fitting on it. It's also going to have teeth. What we need to do is we need to get this bolt and those teeth to seat inside that hole. What we don't want to do is we don't want to damage that Zerk fitting. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a small socket like this, and we're going to tap it in with a hammer. Now that we've got our bolt inserted enough where the threads are coming out the other side, we're going to go ahead and put a nut on it. And we're going to keep tapping it until we get it in. You can see how the head of the bolt or those teeth are seated inside of there. The head of that bolt is flat up against there. You want to make sure that you do that on each of those. Before we tighten and torque any of the hardware, what we're going to do is we're going to insert our center ones. Our customers want his trailer to sit a little bit higher in the back. So what we're doing is, if you remember, we took it out of this hole, we're actually going to move this down and insert it in this hole. Keep in mind, if you're doing this, you have to do both sides of the spring. So even though we're doing the center here, we're also going to have to go to the opposite side of the spring and lower it one hole also. Once you get your bolt in, go ahead and put, you're going to have a larger nut for this one. Go ahead and put it on. And you can see here, we need to finish seating this. Except we don't have to use a socket, we can just hit the head of the bolt itself. As I mentioned before, since we adjusted the inside of our spring down one hole, we're going to have to also do the outside of our springs. Your kit is going to come with new bolts with grease certs. So when you take this bolt out, you move it down, again, insert the new one. Once you have all your hardware installed, you're going to tighten and torque it to the specification and the instructions. And you're going to repeat the process on the other side. Again, I'm Shane with etrailer.com. I hope this video has helped you, whether you're still deciding or installing the Dexter E-Z Flex triple suspension enhancement on our 2006 Jayco fifth wheel camper.